Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Timothy here with Mana Rocks, and we're going to be playing a little bit of Standard today. Best of one. I don't have sideboards put together for most of my decks, and I mostly play Best of one on Arena, even though I'm more of a fan of 2 out of 3, or traditional Standard. So, what are we playing? I'm calling this deck Wilderness Storm. I wanted to call it a 1,000-Year Reclamation, but that name doesn't fit in the little title box, so Wilderness Storm it is, and you can tell by the name, it's a combination of a Wilderness Reclamation 1,000-Year Storm deck. So, 1,000-Year Storm, deck that a lot of people kind of fiddled with before Ravnica Allegiance. Your goal is to stick this card, which lets you copy all of your instants and sorceries for each other instant and sorcery you've played that turn. So the first one doesn't do anything, the next one doubles, the second one triple, or third one triples, so on and so forth, and you just kill your opponent with a flurry of storms. You're trying to win with Shock and Lightning Strike mainly. Chain a bunch of spells together and then go like maybe 4 copies of Shock, 5 copies of Lightning Strike. It is pretty easy to do once you get to the late game, especially if you stick this against control. Our deck is naturally going to be very, very bad against aggro decks, which is most of what people play on Best of One, so good luck to us. I would normally have a sweeper in the deck, but I don't feel like spending a ticket on it. And you'll notice most of the deck is cheap draw spells and interactive spells. So 4 Shocks, 4 Lightning Strikes. Those are the win cons, but they also help us deal with mono red, mono white, mono blue, merfolk, so on and so forth. All of those little get you early games. If you draw a couple of these in your opening hand, you'll go ahead and use them on your opponent's early threats. And then the rest of it's like control game, right? You have a bunch of draw spells and Chemist's Insight, Radical Idea, Blink of an Eye, which is just a multi-purpose draw spell. You have Ionize to kind of get you through the mid-game, counter a relevant spell on turn 3 or 4, and then Opts to kind of dig you. What you also play that a lot of other decks don't play is Pirate's Pillage, which is really good with 1,000-Year Storm. This is a way to actually generate additional mana in the turn you're going off, since each copy of Pirate's Pillage will make 2 treasure tokens, and if you cast a spell and then cast Pirate's Pillage, the pillage is essentially free and nets you mana sometimes. What you get out of Ravnica Allegiance, and what I've really been having fun trying out, are 2 green cards. You get Growth Spiral, which is both nice in that it ramps you into your 4-drops. If you play a Growth Spiral on turn 2, you can often play your Reclamation on turn 4, or sometimes your 1,000-Year Storm on turn 5, maybe have extra mana for Explosion. It's just altogether pretty good, and when you're going off with 1,000-Year Storm, it's better to have Growth Spiral than it is to have Radical Idea, since this still draws you a card, just like Radical Idea, but it also lets you dump a bunch of extra mana onto the battlefield if you happen to draw a bunch of lands. Similar to Pirate's Pillage, it's a draw spell that also functions as a ramp and lets you continue storming off. And then there's Wilderness Reclamation. I didn't want 4 of these in the deck, but I knew I wanted to play it. And what this lets you do is if you play it on turn 4, it's going to work like any kind of Nexus deck. You've seen these sorts of decks. They're often pretty boring because they involve Nexus and taking a bunch of extra turns. Not really what we're doing here. I'm not interested in playing Nexus of Fate because I do find it boring and a little bit rude to play it in a casual format. But Wilderness Reclamation, you play it and you immediately untap on that end step, so you can cast a Chemist's Insight or an Ionize. In a lot of ways, it's almost free to play your Wilderness Reclamation. But what this really does is if you get a Wilderness Reclamation on turn 4, and then turn 6 you play 1,000-Year Storm, you actually get to untap right away, and you can potentially even storm off and kill your opponent that very same end phase if you have the right flurry of spells, like Opt, Shock, Lightning Strike, something like that. So 1,000-Year Storm, there's only 3 copies. I didn't want to get super bogged down with enchantments, and there's so much draw. Like, look at all the draw spells. 4 Opts, 2 Blinks, 3 Radical Ideas, 4 Growth, 3 Chemist's Insight. It's usually not that hard to find a copy of 1,000-Year Storm. Wilderness Reclamation is a little bit cuter, right? You don't need this to win the game. Usually your goal is to try and survive, play 1,000-Year Storm, hope it doesn't get answered, hope your opponent doesn't kill you that turn, and then the next turn you can usually win. A lot of times you'll have to use your Shocks and Lightning Strikes on the turns following up to 1,000-Year Storm, but like I said, there's so much draw power in the deck that you can often just draw your way out of it or draw yourself into some of the burn. And then there's also Explosion as a backup way to win, which is really good with Reclamation. It's a little bit tedious to play because you have to put stops in certain spots and play on full control with Wilderness Reclamation, but we'll figure that out. And then I also want to note that I only have 3 Stomping Grounds, and I don't feel like using one of my 25 rare wild cards to get the fourth one. But the way I would play this in real life is 4 of each Shockland, and then 2 of each check land. So 2 Sulphur Falls, 2 Rootbound Crag, 2 Hinterland Harbor. I'm playing more because I'm greedy. And then at least 1 of each basic, although you could probably go down the island and up, say, another Rootbound Crag here. Actually, if I had the extra Stomping Ground, I would just get rid of the other island and play 1 of each basic. So that's that. We are going to be playing this deck, and we'll just play until we're comfortable, but probably around 5 5 best of 1 matches, and we'll just kind of showcase the deck. We'll probably see how weak it is against aggro and how fun it is when it goes off, and that's the whole goal, is to see if we can go off with Thousand Year Storm. So I will see you in match 1. Let me know down below in the comments if you want to see more standard, and remember to subscribe to the channel. See you in the games. All right, so we are on the draw here. This is fine. Basically, any combination of good mana and removal is going to be good. We are going to be a little bit soft to these mono blue decks. Like I said, these aggro decks, people who have no originality and just copy the Pro Tour winning decks, they're going to get you sometimes. Those decks are good for a reason. And I'm not saying you shouldn't play those decks. It's just a little bit tedious to play against the same decks over and over again. Do they have the Curious Obsession? They never don't have the Curious Obsession, right? Oh my god, it looks like they might not. Oh, are they slow rolling the Curious Obsession? Short Sword, never mind. Never mind, we might be okay here, guys. So, I'm sorry. I saw Terramander. I got a little upset. Okay. I'm just going to Lightning Strike this right away before my opponent untaps. So, Short Sword is not quite Curious Obsession. Tempest Djinn coming down? I mean, we still have a problem dealing with Tempest Djinn. All right, Artificer's Assistant. So this is probably actually a favorable wins deck. Never mind, this is some sort of weird precon. This might be a newer player here. I mean, they're going to have a bunch of power on board, but we're not really being threatened by what they have here. I think we just Lightning Strike this right away. Guess I could hold up Ionize just in case. Alright, so we're not playing against the highest tier deck here, which is what you get out of best of 1, but I find you play against more tier decks in best of 1 than non-tier decks. I'm going to take this hit, see if I need to Ionize something, and then go for the Lightning Strike on this Prodigy. Opponent says, no thank you, so let's go Lightning Strike the Prodigy, see if they have some sort of counterspell. We could also just die, like we don't have a 4th land. They're dealing 4 a turn, they've got the counterspell at the ready. I could see just dying to this pile of damage. Blink of an eye, your own guy. Draw a card, sure. Fine with that. Also fine with the draw. Sure. Let's go ahead and pass. Probably going to cast Chemister's Insight here over casting whatchamacallit. My opponent's got a bunch of 1-drops. Like I said, we might die to this. Probably should have cast Pirate's Pillage last turn, because then I could go Thousand Year Storm and then try to go off the turn after that. As it is, I'm probably going to be a little bit too slow, actually. Complaining about my opponent playing some random creatures, but random creatures often good enough to get it done against not enough removal. The Blink of an Eye was pretty good, not going to lie. Ooh, the Reclamation helps, but we do need something to do with that. What's the draw? Okay, Lightning Strike's pretty good. So we're going to go Sulphur Falls, Wilderness Reclamation, 3, 4, 5. Opponent's not very close to the whatchamacallit. And then here, I have the option to go Lightning Strike plus Expansion, which we might do. Surge Mare. Alright, Surge Mare's fine. Can't be blocked by green creatures, but it doesn't pressure us this turn. I think I'm going to go Lightning Strike on Gear whatever Prodigy here. And then I think that's it. I think I want to keep my expansion for right now. Hold up Ionize here. Ionize you don't really need on your Thousand Year Storm turns. Hoping my opponent's last card isn't like Negate or something. Okay, so we should have a decent turn here. We're going to stick Thousand Year Storm. I was going to say we need the 6th land. Let's go ahead and put a stop on our end step. Stick the 1,000-Year Storm, and then I think we can take a hit here. It's going to be 5, 6, 7. Next turn we get to potentially go off. Yeah, let's give it one more turn here. Opponent can, this is what, 2 mana plus 2 minus 2? Sure. Alright, attacking. See if they just activate Surge Mare a bunch of times. So loots when it hits us, right? You may draw a card if you do discard a card, sure. Activate again. Uh-oh, keeping up mana, huh? Okay. I would love for them to just tap out. Oh, just cast a spell. No. Alright, gonna just untap here. Cool, shock. So we're gonna go Pirates, Pillage, discard in Ionize. And I do need to stop on my end step. Yeah, discard Ionize, submit. Resolve 1,000-Year Storm. Since it triggers on the first one, but it doesn't do anything on the first one. I want to respond to my own Pirate's Pillage, but it's looking like it's not going to let me. I wanted to copy it with expansion. This is fine, though. So we go shock here. Target our opponent. Target their creatures. Yeah, let's just target our opponent here. So shock, and then response. Red, blue. We are going to expansion our shock. We're going to have 3 copies of expansion here. So resolve 1,000-Year Storm. This is where it gets complicated. So copy shock. Copy shock. Alright, so first shock, boom. Second shock, boom. Expansion, copy shock. Shaboom. Another expansion. Alright, now 1,000-Year Storm triggers. It should make 3 copies, I think. That's one trick you can do there. Alright, so we did 10, and now we cast another shock. Actually, here's what we do. Go to end step, let Wilderness Reclamation resolve. I do not want to... Oh yeah, end my turn. Allow that to resolve. Should hold priority here. There we go. Cast shock again. Target our opponent. In response to the 1,000-Year Storm, cast expansion. Target our shock. Resolve. Copy shock. Copy shock. Alright, there we go. We get a billion shocks. If our opponent has a counterspell for the original shock, that's great. Resolve all. 1, 2, 3, and then we still got the original copy, so we got like 4 more copies of shock here. Man, if this was a Curious Obsession deck, we'd be so dead. Alright, there's the shock. And that's without the actual shock. We have like 5 more copies of shock coming here. Boom. And that's how 1,000-Year Storm wins. Using the extra mana from Wilderness Reclamation there too mattered a lot. Like I said, if you untap with Wilderness Reclamation, or 1,000-Year Storm, you often just win, and Wilderness Reclamation makes it so that you don't have to worry too much about mana. Anyway, we're going to play a couple more here. See you in match 2. Alright, back for match 2. We're on the play this time. I'm going to keep, and against my better judgment, I'm going to shock on turn 1. Yeah, I do want to make sure I'm just finding lands with these opts and everything. Hopefully no mountain or island. Swamp. I like swamp. first round opponent may not have been the most powerful deck that we'll face, but it's fine. All right, turn 2 Radical Idea is nice. Ooh, Sulfur Falls. Always go Shock into check land is nice. Just going to cast Radical Idea here. And then we'll have Ionize up on turn 3, which is good. Against Mono Black. All right, we're against kind of another intro deck, it seems. Zombie deck of some sort. So we can probably take it a little bit slow, but don't want to get too greedy here. I don't really love the idea of picking on these intro decks, but I'm not exactly playing a top tier deck. Worth noting, if you're playing best of 1 and you're playing Control and you have access to red, I think you should 100% be playing Fiery Cannonade, especially in best of 1, because there are so many decks that just get swept by Fiery Cannonade, whether you're playing Izzet or Jeskai. Yeah, let's just Ionize this. That lets us hold up Blink of an Eye next turn. Chemister's Insight being one of our better draws. Wilderness Reclamation. Oh, that was a decent draw. So now we get to hold up Blink of an Eye. We can get hit by Doom Dissenter for a long while here. My opponent might be green-black if they're playing the Death Bloom Valid. I'm wondering, so people tell me that when you play a non-tier deck, Arena has a way of kind of recognizing the power level of your deck, and it'll match it up against other power level decks of similar power level, I should say. And I don't 100% know if that's true or not, but it certainly seems like it based on these 2 matches. Let's go ahead and just get some value here. Tempo our opponent. All right, there's a Growth Spiral. That's quite nice. We're going to lead tap land, pass. Yeah, just go and pass. No shocks or whatchamacallits. Yeah, if my opponent plays like Tendershoot Dryad, we're probably dead. I think Tendershoot Dryad's double green though. Now I don't have any 2-mana counter spells in the deck, so that's just going to resolve. Now we just need to hit a 1,000-Year Storm. We've got a bunch of card draw already lined up, so we can probably get there. Wilderness Reclamation would be good too. There's probably an argument also for playing the 4th copy of 1,000-Year Storm, just because we need it to win the game. But I don't know how I feel about that. I do feel like I'm losing pretty hard here. All right, let's go Growth Spiral here. Trying to find some stuff. Slight Freeze. We'll go and put that into play tapped. Go and cast some Opts, I think. Or maybe I just go Radical Idea. Discard. Tap land. We've got plenty of mana. Another Growth Spiral. All right, give me a 1,000-Year Storm. All right, Growth Spiral. Okay, that's not the worst. Gonna go ahead and start opting here. I'm gonna run out of gas. I'll take that. Boom. There we go. So now I'm gonna stop and then take this damage from the opponent. It's gonna hurt. 3, 4, 5, 6. Again, hopefully no Tendershoot Dryad. And I do need to survive next turn as well, so I might have to blow the Lightning Strike here. Tap land, Foul Orchard. 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright, cool. So we can run out 1,000-Year Storm and still have Lightning Strike up in case we really need to use it. And we're going to pass. And then next turn, I think between 1, 2, 3, well, 1 copy, 2 copies, 3 copies. So 5, 6, 7. We're going to be able to cast 7 Lightning Strikes next turn if we survive this turn. And that's just with what we have right here. Because we cast Radical Idea, we cast Opt, that gives us 2 copies, and then Lightning Strike plus 2 copies is 9 damage, plus Lightning Strike is 12, plus 3 copies is 21. So let's just not die right now. Oh, another Opt, definitely. All right, let's go ahead and go Opt. 1,000-Year Storm, sure. I'm gonna opt in. That can go to the bottom actually. Make sure it doesn't skip our turn here or anything. Opt. Resolve all the opts. One, two, three, four. Yeah, let's just leave that on top, showcase what that can do. Hinterland Harbor, we have not played a land this turn. Sure, I'll keep that on top. Alright, let's just, since we're playing, let's go ahead and show what Wilderness Reclamation can do. Obviously, our opponent could just destroy us here by destroying our Wilderness Reclamation before the end step. Then we won't untap. I'm going to go ahead and cast Radical Idea. And this will just give us more lightning strikes. Should be drawing 3 cards here. All right, untap, resolve that, and then we're still on end step here. We can go and go for the lightning strike kill. And respond to that with another lightning strike. Resolve all. I don't know when they added that resolve all button, but it's a blessing for this deck. Okay, keep it moving. All right, there you go. Boom, 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 boom. All right, second copy. Kind of fun at this point, once you know you're going to win. There we go. All right, that's 2 wins. Probably not against the most competitive decks. I would like to just play against mono red so we can get crushed and just show you why you should just be playing the mono blue deck. As boring as it is to play the best decks, they do win more often for a reason. All right, match 3 coming up. All right, match 3, great opening hand. We have the shock into the check. All of our colors. We've got some stuff to do on turn 1. Not currently turn 2. Growth Spiral being probably your best turn 2 play. I'm not going to opt right away since I know I have stuff to do. All right, against black-white this time. And drawing the lightning strike, which is usually good against black-white. This might mean Esper, though. Esper Control or Esper mid-range is a pretty popular deck. No, that is not Esper. This is some sort of aristocrats deck. Yeah, let's go ahead and opt. Try to hit another land or a growth spiral. Sure, we'll just leave that on top. And we're going to get the turn 4 Wilderness Reclamation. So what we're really looking for is Chemist's Insight or Thousand Year Storm. Not really worried about a Footlight Fiend right now. We're against Mardu. Might be just Mardu aggro, which is kind of a cool deck. It plays like Tajik, Hero of Precinct 1, stuff like that. Heroic Intervention to just kind of get impressive turns off of the whatchamacallits, Hero. All right. Let's let that resolve and Lightning Strike it, I think. Yeah, we're going to let that resolve and we're going to Lightning Strike it. Opponent's stuck on 2 mana. This is a really sweet deck. Someone played it at the Pro Tour. I guess they just call it Mardu aggro. Yeah, we're just going to run out our Reclamation and pass the turn. It's going to untap automatically. If we don't put the stop there, it just skips your turn. It doesn't let you do anything with your mana, but you are on end step, so. But even if you have like a Chemist's Insight, it's just like, nope. Ooh, what did that name? Human. Interesting. Judith is a human. Let's go and ionize Judith. Yeah, this is definitely the Mardu aggro deck. Really sweet. I didn't know it played unclaimed territory, though. First me seeing that. All right, another Reclamation is not actually as bad as it seems. We're going to run out Pirate's Pillage here. Discard in probably just the second Reclamation, though. We don't really need that. I want to make sure I hit a land drop this turn as well. All right, get to hold up Shock here. Oh, it doesn't matter. You just, when you have Reclamation, you can just afford to run out your Shock lands because they all untap. This card is not even remotely fair for Constructed. Like, why does it trigger on end step? Should trigger on like your opponent's upkeep or I don't know. Ooh, 4-drop. So this looks like Heroic Intervention coming down possibly. See whether we need to shock something or not. Because we want shock for our 1000-Year Storm. Alright, opponent's gonna free roll that into a gold spell, Fireblade Artist. No, I'm not gonna shock right now, because if I can draw like an opt or something next turn, then I can shock multiple things with my one shock. Or if I just draw like a lightning strike. Alright, let's see. Draw a spell. That was not a spell, and I have no draw power here, so we might lose this game. I feel like I just need one draw spell and I'll be good. 2, 4, 5, 6. If our opponent draws Heroic Intervention, that's 6, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Not dead to that. Our opponent also didn't shoot us for 2 with the Fireblade Artist. Judith, sure. I mean, we're going to play around trying to win next turn rather than try and pick off one creature here. 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Go down to 5. Super dead if we don't draw a draw spell. Could kill Judith here, but I think I need this shock in hand. Alright, hit me with a Chemister's Insight. Okay, Growth Spiral. Growth Spiral is good. So I think I go shock and then Growth Spiral. That draws me 2 cards, and then maybe I can chain together some more draws here. So shock our opponent. So I just don't think killing Judith is going to be good enough. Go and put the stop on our end step now. And if Growth Spiral hits another draw spell, I think this is going to be good. Because we're going to draw 2 off Growth Spiral. If I draw even an Opt or a Radical Idea, I'm going to draw 3 cards off of that one. Alright, Thousand Year Storm number 2, not great. Alright, Radical Idea, Opt, Chemister's Insight, Hinterland Harbor, so we just die. We have no action here, so opponent's got us on this one. We just needed a draw spell there. And I think we go off. Chemister's Insight would have been the best, because I would have drawn us 6 cards, or Pirate's Pillage. But we blanked, which is not usual. You're not going to blank too often there. We are playing, I think, 26 lands, maybe 25. 2-1 though. We'll keep playing. See you in match 4. All right, I like just about any hand that has a turn 2 Growth Spiral, and we're on the play. I don't like having 8 total shocks and lightning strikes in my deck and not drawing them in my opening hand, but sometimes shocks are bad. They're usually good against everything. Orzhov Guildgate. Don't know whether that means gates or something else. We don't have a shock in hand, so I'm just going to go ahead and run out Hinterland Harbor here over the mountain. Probably right to just play the mountain anyway, in case we draw multiple red spells. But we're going to Growth Spiral here into a Johnny's Pridemate. That's never good news. Okay, we drew a shock, so we're going to probably end of turn just shock this Pridemate. Get that nonsense out of here. Might cast Pirate's Pillage here, depending on what we draw. Radical Idea. No, let's just play it a little bit slower. We'll hold up our Ionize. If they don't cast anything, we'll cast our Radical Idea instead. It's nice to hold on to some combination of draw spells so you don't have the same problems as last time. We can beat Dawn of Hope, right? I'm going to let that resolve. Famous last words. We can beat Dawn of Hope. All right, let's cast Radical Idea. Draw Steam Vents, and going to keep Opt here. I like Explosion a lot. I think I'm going to Pirate's Prize, though, discarding Steam Vents. Probably just draw another land. Again, famous last words. Haha, got there anyway. Sucker. Alright, pass. Not too much I'm worried about here. We might just set up for a big explosion against basically any big creature my opponent plays. Leonin War Leader, I guess that's a big creature. Do we Ionize that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Ionize just uses my treasure. 1, 2, 3, 4. If I draw a land, I can shoot this for 4. Let's Opt. Blink of an eye. Alright, that does the trick. Sure. Just draw land naturally. Lightning Strike does not quite do the trick. Alright, I do want to make land drops, so I am going to kick this on my turn. Sure, not copying it. Nice. And pass. So now we can Radical Idea on end step and then untap an Explosion, Leonin War Leader. Sure. Opponent with 1 mana up, not sure what gets us there. Cast. Come on. Cast Radical Idea. Cool. Alright, there's a Lightning Strike. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. We are going to have to use 1 treasure here, but that's fine. I will actually save the treasure. I could draw an extra card with that treasure, though. But I think it's worth keeping it. 4. Shoot you. Target me to draw. Red, red, blue. The tedious part here of using treasure is it makes you tap your mana. God forbid. Watch us get blown out by like some +2/+2 trick. Alright, this draws us 4 cards. Now we're looking for Wilderness Reclamation. We got Lightning Strikes for days. Wilderness Reclamation, Thousand Year Storm, obviously the cards we're looking for. Thousand Year Storm would be great because we could back it up with Ionize, another expansion. Probably good enough, right? Just shoot this bad boy for 4 again. And discard a bunch of cards, discard a bunch of Chemister's Insights. Pow, draw 4 more cards. And go to end step. Alright, we're going to discard Insight, Insight. God, this is annoying. And Pirate's Prize? No. Ionize? Yeah. Not holding up Ionize here. Just need the Storm now. 30 cards into the deck. Haven't seen it in one of our 3 copies. Probably should play the 4th copy. Johnny's Pridemate? Sure. Not too worried about that with a bunch of Lightning Strikes in hand. And I'm not going to use my mana to opt here. Reclamation. Okay, Chemister's Insight. Just cast that. Sure. Let's go ahead and play Growth Spiral. Need to make sure I keep up enough mana to Lightning Strike that Pridemate, but I can play 2 lands here. So 1, play land for turn. And I have 7 in hand, so let's just pass. I have so much burn in my hand as soon as I draw Wilderness, or as soon as I draw anything, my opponent's just dead. Alright, I'm going to use a Lightning Strike to deal with the Pridemate. My opponent can have their 1/1. Fun fact, Johnny's Pridemate has been errated to not be a May ability. It's printed as a May ability, but they recently changed it to not be a May ability for some weird reason. Opponent can draw a card here and deal damage. Their life total is not going to be super relevant here unless they gain like 1 billion life. I'll Ionize anything super threatening. Yeah, my opponent's just drawing a card here. Another War Leader. Yeah, I will Ionize that. Make a red mana off of the treasure. Just don't want to blow a bunch of Lightning Strikes on it. Okay, Chemister's Insight from the graveyard, discarding Steam Vents. There he goes, there he goes. Can I cast it this turn? Yes. So, see if our opponent has like a Mortify or something. I'm gonna opt twice here, just draw 2 cards. Sure, I'll keep Blink of an Eye. And I'll keep another opt. So it should be, assuming they don't mortify this Thousand Year Storm or something, should be pretty trivially easy to win next turn. Sure. Alright, so we're probably going to have to win in the same turn. My opponent might be just holding a bunch of mortifies and stuff. Two more Thousand Year Storms and a Reclamation. It's fine. So we're going to need to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Play Reclamation and win with it the same turn, presumably. Okay. Okay. Let's go ahead and Insight. Just Pirate's Pillage. No, we have another Insight. Discarding Pillage. Or Blink of an Eye. No, let's discard Pillage. Alright, Thousand Year Storm. Not running it out this turn. Wilderness Reclamation would make it very good. Might even just Blink of an Eye this stupid token here. Forsaken Sanctuary. Okay. Oh, the Mortifies. I'm going to give them the option to use some of their mana here to draw a card. Tap them out of their Mortifies. Guess my best draw if my opponent does tap out is Wilderness Reclamation. Then there's no way I lose. Alright. Let's let that resolve. We're going to Blink of an Eye that thing back to their hand. And then we can Thousand Year Storm with 6 mana, 7 mana left over. Alright, let's go. Thousand Year Storm. We want to draw as many cards as possible, so let's go Opt, Radical Idea, and that. Oh, let's go Radical Idea, Opt, and that gives us the most shots at a Wilderness Reclamation while still being able to cast it. Since we get to scry. There we go. So that is definite win on the table. Yeah, we'll keep another shock. We probably don't even need the Reclamation to win here, but we're going to. Cast Reclamation. We have a stop on our end step. That untaps us, and we go ham with the shocks and the lightning strikes. I'm going to put a bunch of them on the stack here. And then I'm going to resolve everything. Okay, there you go. Nice. Okay, I figured my opponent would concede to that. We were going to get what, 12, 21, plus 6 damage. No, we cast 2 other spells. Never mind, that was going to be a lot of damage. The last one was going to have 6 copies on the stack. All right, one more match. You've seen what the deck is doing. We've gotten to do the thing. So let's play against a competitive deck this time. See you in match 4. I guess match number 5, right? Yeah, this is a painful hand. Could use a shock or something. Ugh, against mono white. GG us. All right, lightning strike's pretty good here. Pretty good, but I found that mono white is able to get so many more bodies on board than you can actually deal with. Oh, Dawn of Hope. Okay. I like seeing that rather than seeing like 2 1-drops. Now we probably pay 2 and just lightning strike your boy. Get that off the board while we can. Stop any sort of draw engine. My opponent taps out next turn, then we can hold a blink or ionize. They play like a Banalish Marshal. They might just be in a Johnny's Pridemate deck again, not the mono white. Oh, never mind. We're going to have a field day with this one then. I'm going to pay 2 life in case I need to ionize here. My opponent missing a land drop. I don't think my life total's in too much danger. Johnny's Pridemate indeed. Let's just ionize that. Seems like their most important card. I have Blink of an Eye for it if it gets too big. Alright, that was a great draw. Now we can hold up Blink of an Eye or Chemister's Insight. All I ever want to do is cast Chemister's Insight on 4. Sure. They get an Adonto Vanguard. FYI, double 1,000-Year Storm does stack. You get the same ability out of one that you get out of others, so they do things in multiples, even though they're not great. I think I want to opt here looking for some lands. I could Chemister's Insight again, though. Discard the other 1,000-Year Storm. I like that. Because you only need 1,000-Year Storm to win, unless you're being super extra. This deck is a little bit extra, but we did hit a land, and we can opt as well. And sure, we're going to take 3 here. But if we take 3, our opponent doesn't pressure us too much, and we get to land the Storm, I think we can win. Rock Charger. Alright, well, we're beating up on draft decks, but such is life. Let's go and opt now so we can just pass the rest of the turn. Oh, I guess I wanted to put that on the bottom, technically. Not technically, actually, because we want to draw a 6th land. Oh, never punished. Alright, we're going to go ahead and shock ourselves and play TYS, 1,000-Year Storm. Rumble, 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 rumble. No flavor text. Really sad. And I would be extremely surprised if our opponent could kill us here. Oh, Ixalan's Binding. Thankfully, we have Blink of an Eye. So what we're going to do is wait till our opponent's end step to blink Ixalan's Binding. We are going down to 6, but not too worried about that. Okay, I was going to say an untapped source would be great here, so I can go Blink of an Eye on that and hold up Ionize to just make sure we don't die to something this turn. I'm just going to ship the turn, though. And I think we're going to have enough to kill our opponent here. Sure. We will not fight over that. Going to go down to 2, so we can't shock. Sure. Go to 2. Go to 2. I said go to 2. And what's your last card here? Healer's Hawk, sure. So let's go Blink of an Eye, get back my TYS. Now I could go opt shock shock here. I just want to cast an Ionize just to make sure I get 4 damage on my opponent. I guess it only gets 2 because I already copy it. Yeah, I'm not going to cast Ionize turn after, so let's just get the 2 damage while we can. Cape all our mana here. Again, Wilderness Reclamation would be awesome. Decline. Yeah, we can stack multiple copies of Ionize on the same spell, but once it gets countered by the first one, it's not a legal target for the copies. They don't take any additional damage. Nice. Can't play that. So what do we do? Radical Idea. Opt. Radical Idea, opt. Then shock with 2 copies, that's 6 damage. Shock with 3 copies, that's 8 damage. And then we can expansion with those shocks. So yeah, they are dead. Yep, resolve. Super dead. Well, this is going to be our last match, so let's just do the thing with the Reclamation. Enters tapped. Again, this deck's pretty fun. I imagine it'd be a little bit more fun to play in person because you don't have to sit here and wonder how the stack works, and you just kind of do the math. Maybe not. Maybe it's hard. Oh, another shock? Yes. Yes. Breed and pull to the bottom. And we played our land, right? Yep. Let's go Reclamation. Go to end step, untap, and then have a Frenzy with all these shocks. Probably even kill our opponent's creatures here. Resolve that. And Shock Frenzy. 1. Now we're just going to do as much as possible here. Again, be an extra because it's the last match. First shock does 6 damage, second one does 8, next one does 10. Let's make that extra. We can also put an additional shock on the stack, essentially, with expansion. Draw 4 cards with Radical Idea. Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Resolve all. Another Radical Idea. And there's a Lightning Strike for the extra rub-ins. Cast a Radical Idea. Draw 6 cards. Oh no, we only have 1 red source. Are we gonna opponent scoop? We still have Lightning Strike mana up. Okay. Well, don't make that mistake. We were still gonna win there. I think even a shock is lethal. But there you go. 1,000-Year Reclamation or Wilderness Storm. It's probably going to be in the video title as Wilderness Storm. Very fun deck to play. 1,000-Year Storm in general is a really cool card if you enjoy math, if you enjoy playing control with a very clear win condition. Let's go back to the deck for a second here and just talk about it a little bit more before we call it a day. I don't have a full sideboard, but if I was going to sideboard for this, I would definitely make sure I had Fiery Cannonades and Niv Mizzets, because Niv Mizzets are a good substitution for 1,000-Year Storm. If you play against people who are going to bring in enchantment removal, maybe they're playing main deck Mortify, stuff like that, then being able to swap out the 1,000-Year Storms for Niv Mizzets might just strand those cards in your opponent's hand. Granted, Mortify also kills Niv Mizzet, but at a cost, right? Again, I would make sure you have the right mana. Play the 4th Stomping Ground. Might be right to go like 3 of each shock and 4 of each check land, because that gives you a pretty high chance of just having one of your 9 shocks in your opening hand. Being able to play it on turn 1 and then follow up with a check land on turn 2. I love the Growth Spirals. Cards that aren't necessary. Pirate's Pillage is really good with 1,000-Year Storm, but as you saw, I don't think I ever made a copy of Pirate's Pillage in those 5 games. A lot of times you'll cast 1,000-Year Storm and pass the turn. And if you have Wilderness Reclamation, Pirate's Pillage is a sorcery, so you're not going off with that, right? You can win basically just as easily with like Chemist's Insight into like a bunch of draw spells and then a burn spell. A couple other things. I would make sure you have a sweeper or 2 in this deck. Fiery Cannonade is the one that I've already mentioned a couple times, but also Star of Extinction is really good against some decks. You have to survive to that point, but if you get to Star of Extinction your opponent, you get to set them back on mana and also just wipe everything, including Planeswalkers, which this deck can struggle with a little bit. You have Blink of an Eye and some burn spells to deal with them, but for the most part, if a Planeswalker sticks, they stick. Negates are also a consideration here. Or cheap counter spells like Essence Scatter. I like the Ionize. A lot of times it's, once you get to the Storm turn, you have more than enough damage to kill your opponent. But Ionize deals just that little bit of damage to make sure that you don't miss your game by like 1 Storm trigger. And yeah, I like the expansions too, because they're 2 mana way to kind of fight opponent's counter spells. If your opponent counters you, let's say you're going off with your Storm or whatever, you go Shock, Lightning Strike, and then they try to counter one of your spells, which isn't really that effective. You can expansion their counter spell, and then with 1,000-Year Storm, your other expansions can continue to go ahead and expansion your burn spells and just get there. I love the Growth Spirals. When you're going off and you draw 3 cards and you can put additional lands into play, you get to just kind of keep going off, and it feels great, right? Also, Growth Spiral just feels awesome to cast on turn 2. This deck could easily play Hydroid Krasis as well, because Growth Spiral into Krasis is just really good. And then also Explosion is just a fantastic card. Another card I would consider is Electro Dominance, since you can kind of like end of turn Electro Dominance and then put Wilderness Reclamation into play or something like that. Or if you're on 8 mana, it's a good way to kind of sneak in a 1,000-Year Storm when your opponent doesn't think you can. But you have to have a lot of mana for that. And then also against control decks with heavy counterspell component, I would play Banefire, because Banefire does just wreck your opponents, right? So this is what I'm playing. There's a lot of adjustments, especially in the numbers. You probably should go up to the 4th copy of 1,000-Year Storm. Maybe down on the Ionizes, maybe play a little bit more removal over some of the card draw. Like, I could see not playing these 2 Pirate's Pillages, and then go in +1 1,000-Year Storm and +1 Fiery Cannonade or Star of Extinction. That would be my recommendation if you're going to play this deck seriously at like a Standard Showdown or an FNM. But with all that being said, the deck worked pretty nicely. We won 4 of those 5 games. Granted, not against the most competitive decks, but you saw what the deck was trying to do, how it performs, how the interaction between Wilderness Reclamation and 1,000-Year Storm works, and every card got its chance to shine there, especially with Explosion just being a removal spell that draws 4 cards for some reason. Anyway, this is Wilderness Storm, 1,000 Year Reclamation, whatever you want to call it. I'm sure I'm not the first person to come up with this build or figure out the numbers, and I'm sure there's a lot of other people who are experimenting with the same kind of idea of growth spiral into 1,000 Year Storm. So I'm happy to hear your thoughts, anything you would change, anything you've been playing, and don't tell me about Nexus. I don't really like that card. It's boring. Yes, you can take a million turns with Nexus and 1,000 Year Storm, but why do you need to do that? You can just win with Shock, right? Shock is your win con. Anyway, enough about that. Thanks for watching. My name's Timothy here. Stay tuned to the channel for more limited, more standard, more whatever we feel like doing. And yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you all next time.